It was a little bit over 6 years ago when I started writing new tracks for Dan Daugherty's two magazine, S-Scale Resource and O-Scale Resource. And I've written articles, new tracks articles in those now for every issue for the last 6 years. And I never dreamed that from those first articles would come a weekly Zoom show that we've been doing every week, at least once a week, for 4 years now. And I never in my wildest imagination imagined that we would be able to create a scholarship program for young model railroaders funded 100% by the donations from model railroaders that were watching the shows or reading the articles. And that to me is something that is truly a dream. There's nothing that I can say but thank you to the people that not only participated in making the dream come true because of their own hard work, their ideas, their encouragement, their don't give up attitude, plus the people that donated the money for the first year. Keep in mind, the donations we got for this first year's program were not tax deductible. We didn't have a 501c3 then. We didn't have some of the professional help that we have that is all pro bono. The attorneys that got us the 501c3, the people like the chairman that I'm going to be introducing shortly, the knowledge that the people involved in the show and involved in working on the scholarship program is just unbelievable to me that we've been able to pull this together. And frankly, that the modelers that watched the show gave their money and trusted us enough that we could pull this together and make this happen. And for that, we're all so very grateful, and thank you is such an understatement to make to you. But we want to say thank you very sincerely to all of you. Also, we want to say thank you to the very impressive young modelers who submitted the applications for our scholarship. When we started this, other than the Walters Corporation that started about 2 years ago, offering two $2,500 scholarships by their corporation to young model railroaders. No one else had done this as far as I know. And I was so impressed with Walters is why I thought, well, if a company can do this and thinks enough of the young modelers to invest their capital in it, why can't the model railroading community do this? Why can't we all get behind a program that supports getting young modelers involved in model railroading, encourages them to get an education so that they can provide the kind of leadership that our hobby is going to need in the future? And that's what New Tracks tried to do. And that's what you all have, as viewers of New Tracks and readers of the articles, that's what you've made possible. And tonight is the crowning jewel as far as I'm concerned, because we're going to be able to award our first scholarship to an awfully well-deserved young modeler. And with that, let me turn this over to Bob Davidson, who is the chairman of New Tracks Scholarship Committee. And frankly, we couldn't have done this without his leadership. So Bob, thank you so very much. I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Well, you're very welcome, Jim. And let me say on behalf of the rest of the committee that your vision is really what drove us to make this such a success and to begin the planning for the coming years of this program. So thank you. And I do want to thank the other members of the committee, Phil Edholm, Kevin McCumber, and Jeff Jordan. We've recently been also joined by Jim Allen and some others, and we really appreciate all the work that's gone into this. As Jim said, it really was record-breaking that we were able to not only incorporate, but we received our 501c3 from the IRS, and also were recognized by the state of Florida as a nonprofit charity in record time. We did it, excuse me, in about 3 months' time, and that's just unheard of. And it's because of the commitment of the rest of the committee members. So thanks to all of them, and of course, thanks to you, Jim. As Jim said, we began the solicitation process online in January with a closing date of July 1st. We wound up receiving 7 applications for the scholarship, and they were all wonderful. I mean, we were overwhelmed. We thought we might get 2 or 3. Excuse me. We wound up with 7 really outstanding applicants, but it was clear to us that the recipient, who you'll meet here in a moment, was our clear choice to be the inaugural recipient of the New Tracks Modeling Mentoring Scholarship. So let me introduce to all of you the recipient of this year's scholarship award of $1,000, Ethan Bernstein. Ethan is a junior at Johns Hopkins University. I think today was the 3rd day of classes, so we appreciate your being here tonight with us, and congratulations, Ethan.
Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction, Bob. I'm honored to be the first recipient of New Tracks Modeling, and I first just want to thank New Tracks for everything you've done to grow the modeling community and creating this environment of passing on what modelers have learned to each other to create a very mutually beneficial culture. It's awesome. And I also did not know that, there could be such thing as a model writing scholarship. And that is pretty awesome to know that, my hobby can get that kind of thing. And that is truly awesome. Then also I'd like to thank the Band Track family, anyone who's watching or is attending tonight. They've kind of fostered me not only in my model writing skills, but also in my ability to share what I do in the hobby with others through writing articles for the newsletter, and then that progressing to the NREL side, and then now to NMRA. And all the NMRA people who are on here tonight, they thank you to you all just welcoming me into the team and letting me, grow my own interests and help others grow their interests as well. So pretty awesome. I guess I'll just start with a little bit about myself.
That's great. Please do.
Yeah, so I'm a junior at Johns Hopkins University. I'm studying material science and engineering. And my interests in model railroading, I mean, like all of us, I think we're kind of born with some strange connection to trains. For me, I know I've always had a strong engineering interest. And, I think one of my first words, at least that my parents tell me, was sailboat. So, going off of that, I've always been interested in transportation of just about anything that moves, floats, flies, all of it. But trains really caught my interest. And it started with, Thomas the Tank Engine and all the little diecast trains, which were pretty close to N-scale size. Now I look back at it, which is pretty interesting correlation. But eventually that got to, G-scale Christmas train around the tree. And then the big one that really, I think, started to spark my interest specifically in electric model trains was the Wegmans train. Wegmans had a train in the store that would go around above the coolers. And it was a G-scale train. And one year, my parents got me an O-scale Lionel starter set. That was a Wegmans train, and I have that to this day. We still run it at Christmas. I love that thing so much, and that then got me into looking for what are the smaller trains. There's other scales. All these things started popping up, and with the access to the internet, found some model train stores. Got my first N-scale engine, then my first N-scale starter set, the Encanto starter set, and that's the rest is history. Took off from there.
That's wonderful. Now, you mentioned in your essay, which was a wonderful essay, that you were always attracted to things that are small. And now that's kind of influencing your course of study in university. So maybe you could talk a little about that.
Yeah, that was a pretty fun connection to make in my essay, but it is very true. So I've always, like my mom would always keep these small little trucks and stuff for me in her purse and carry them around. And those, I thought those are the best things ever. There's your little trucks, you can put them in your pocket, play around with them. Most of them were pretty close to N scale. Some of them do grace my layout to this day. And so that connection, has always been with me. I've always been searching for, what's smaller? And now I realize that interest is just because I find it very fascinating and really neat how small mechanics can be applied. And so things like, you can take a motor that is the same in an O scale engine and put it all the way down to like a T scale engine, right? Go to a scale from 1 to 50 proportion all the way down to 1 to 450 or whatever it is that T scale is. The T scale is becoming my next interest as well, but N scale is definitely the dominant one. And so that's always stuck with me, having these interest in small toys and just assorted things along those lines. And then eventually during high school, I started doing research in a class that it was an independent research class. We could choose what we wanted to research. And I knew I wanted to research something in the medical world because that's starting to blossom very big in terms of an engineering application. And so I was looking into that, and I just started searching nanomedicine just because I knew the word nano, and surely there's a medicine that follows it. And that actually is a very new field. And it's an interest both fed from microelectronics, like in the model train community, and also an interest in biology, and that nanomedicine can combine both. So that was some pretty cool research I did that got me connected to big universities, including Hopkins, where I met one of the professors there who was in the materials science department, which introduced me to that field. And that's what I've stuck with. And I went to Hopkins after that because they have a fantastic math sci program, which I'm very much enjoying, and finally getting into some of the upper level classes and pursuing my interest in nanomaterials.
Fantastic. So maybe last question before we meet some of your friends. You influenced a family vacation this summer, and I was wondering how that went, and if you could tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, well, my parents also, I owe a lot of thanks to them, of course, for supporting my interests and paying for my interests and raising me and all that awesome stuff. But yes, I finally convinced them that a lot of train lines go through scenery that is otherwise uninhabited. And one of the most insane railroading environments in the world is that in the upper north of all of the continents, but especially Norway and in Scandinavia. And they're well known for their scenic train rides. So we planned this whole trip going between Bergen and Oslo, that's the capital of Norway. And we started in Bergen. This trip ended up getting a little bit complicated by a big rainstorm that moved through Norway while we were there, Storm Hans. And that actually closed the rail line between Bergen and Oslo. So we actually could not make that trip. But nonetheless, we did make it to probably one of the coolest train lines I've ever ridden on. It's called a scenic railroad, but it is largely, I think, funded still by the major railroads in Norway. And it's they call it like the 20-kilometer route. So it's 20 kilometers, has 20 tunnels, each of which were hand dug and pickaxed back in the 20s, I believe. And the tunnels range from just a few feet to a kilometer, I think, several kilometers at their longest. And it's actually like a helix inside of the mountain. And that was really, really cool to see. Snow sheds, everything that you would find in rough terrain. And we rode on that railroad. I think we went up and down that thing 5 times. So we definitely got a lot of train time in Norway, and that was really cool. And hopefully many more train trips to come.
That's wonderful. That's great to hear. I hope everyone can see just how proud we are of Ethan and how this is the future of our hobby. And he's such a good spokesperson. So what I'd like to turn right now to Chris Quinlan. I see that you're online, Chris. Chris is the president of the Baltimore Area N-Track Club, and hoping you can say some kind words about Ethan for us.
All right, Bob, thank you so much. It's a huge honor to be here with Ethan tonight. And first of all, thank you guys so much for this New Tracks Modeling Mentoring Program. It's absolutely awesome, and it's a huge honor to have Ethan in our club and for him to be the first recipient of your scholarship program, and hopefully the first of many others down the road. I wish something like this had been around when I was Ethan's age and younger. But I mean, there's not enough nice things that I could say about Ethan. He's been impressive since he joined our club as a middle school student. Ethan, you were in middle school when you joined, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 6th grade, I want to say.
Yeah. I mean, ever since he became a member of our club, even as a youth, like he already had like this mentorship, leadership aurora about him, and he's led the way on a lot of stuff in the club. He's taught us all a lot about printing, 3D printing. He's probably our best writer in the club in regards to newsletter articles and teaching people about what he's doing with his layout and different projects and sub hobbies he has within our hobby, and just absolutely loves to share what he has learned and what he's doing. And it makes all of us much better modelers. And it's inspiring that Ethan is as young as he is. He's the youngest member in our club. And he just, like I said, he just holds his own, and he has ever since day one. And you already talked a little bit about all the stuff that he does outside of the club. He does a lot of volunteer work. He's doing really well in school. He has a really awesome career ahead of him. He's a well-rounded individual. He plays tennis. He helps coach tennis to youth. Just absolutely amazing. And I think everybody needs to know an Ethan, and every train club needs to have an Ethan. So I don't know if there's much more I can say. Like I said, I could go on for a long time. But Ethan, congratulations. We're really proud of you, and honored to have you as one of us. And he's probably one of our he's a future band track president himself. So
you've just been committed, Ethan.
All right, no pressure, no pressure, Ethan.
No pressure. Well, thank you, Chris, very much. We appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you so
Next,
much.
I'd like to introduce Andy Zimmerman. Andy is the Standards and Conformance Manager for the NMRA, as well as other titles. Andy, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate the shout out there. So just to kind of give a little bit of background, I'm the Standards Conformance Manager for the NMRA at the national level. I'm also a Sunshine Region Director at Large here in Florida, and I'm also a director for NRail. So I wear a lot of hats, and there's more hats than that, but I will just go with those for the moment. I'm also the president of the Big Bend Model Railroad Association here in Tallahassee, Florida as well. So we'll wear at least 4 hats, and I'm switching all the time. So I hide it under my senior chief hat so that I can keep a consistent look.
Yeah.
But you know, Ethan came to us a little while ago, and to tell the truth, you know, when he applied for standards and conformance, and I spoke with Mark Jewett, and at first we were like, well, he's kind of young. You know, what do you think? So, you know, so we got together and we're like, hey, he's motivated. He seems like he really wants to give this thing a shot. So let's give him a chance, put some calipers in his hand. Let's see what he can do. So, and Nathan has never failed to impress. He is always motivated. He always turns out a good product. I don't know if it's because he's in college right now, but every report is turned out clean with very few corrections. You know, there may be some minor things and some Oxford comments that got to go in there, but you know, that's about it. He's always dead on with his work. And if by chance, you know, like in the very early on, if by chance we found something that needed to be corrected, very humble, you know, wasn't a bunch of you know, blustering and, you know, or anything else like I get from some of the older folks, you know, like, how dare you question my work? You know, never, not once from Ethan. It's like, okay, I'll take care of it. So, and then away it goes. And if he thinks that, you know, hey, maybe you're mistaken, maybe you didn't quite catch everything, he's very quick to come back and say, hey, did you consider this? You know, because this is what I was looking at. And, you know, I'm not so set in my ways that I can't say, oops, stand corrected, my bad. So, but always does an outstanding job, outstanding product. He's got numerous end scale write-ups that are in the queue for the NMRA magazine. He's one of the big reasons why we have so many end scale offerings, and that people are noticing that the end scale has taken hold with the NMRA. At this last convention, we had quite a few people saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to join the NMRA. I'm an end scaler, and I never would have before, but I've noticed that, you know, there's a huge shift away from being just HO centric, and that they have O scale, S scale, N scale, you articles, and you guys are doing a fantastic job with the write-ups, and he surprised a lot of people, including manufacturers. I'll give you one quick example. Got a close friend of mine who he's the owner of Rail Scale. Anyway, Railsmith, excuse me, I got it wrong. But the guy from Rail Scales also. But a Railsmith, he has some end scale products, and they're custom products. Well, they are Pacific Northwest products, and I model a lot of Great Northern, Northern Pacific, SP and SS, and so I sent Nathan some of his cars because he was so reticent to send anything in to be evaluated for conformance and inspection. He thought maybe it was a negative thing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this to Nathan, and let's just turn Nathan loose. So Nathan did a fantastic job with the write-up. And when he got all done, I forwarded that write-up to the owner. And when he read it and he looked at it, he grabbed me at the convention in Dallas and said, you know what? I didn't really realize what it was all about. I kind of thought maybe it might be a negative thing. Like you guys are, gunning for people basically if they don't have their stuff, just exactly right and exactly prototypical and exactly. I'm like, no. And so when I said, I tried to explain to you that this is a good thing. And he said, well, maybe it was the word warrant that was throwing me off, because you give me a conformance warrant, and usually a warrant is a bad thing. I'm like, well, not in this instance. It's not like a legal warrant. So, but anyway, so he got a copy of Nathan's write-up, and he saw what, how it's going to be presented in the NMRA magazine, and he was just thrilled to death. So now he's all about it now. So Nathan made him a believer. So
That's wonderful.
Just because of his fantastic work. So it's because I have people like this on my team, because I have people like Nathan who are motivated like Nathan and push like Nathan does, that the conformance team is almost 80 people strong. And we've got, manufacturers, DCC manufacturers, locomotive manufacturers, rolling stock. We just picked up, Pico. They're going to join in the manufacturers meetings, just because they're all starting to see the benefit. So, and they wouldn't have seen it if it wasn't for the team, just pushing forward all the time. And Nathan makes it hard to keep up, because he's always out in front. So, and he always delivers. So I'm very proud to have Nathan on my team, or Ethan on my team. And if I said Nathan before, I apologize. I did it to him at the very beginning, and he called me on it. Anyway, so I'm very proud to have Ethan on my team. He's a hard charger and a go-getter. So this is well-deserved, Ethan. I'm proud to see you, that you earned it, and that you're receiving it.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Randy. We appreciate it. Let me say this.
Bob, if you don't, let me interrupt you a minute.
Sure.
Andy, before you go, I'll be honest with you. The standards have been one of the hallmarks of the NMRA since it's first started. It was part of the reason why originally, back in the late 30s, the NMRA was originally put together. How about coming on our show sometime and talking to the modeler, not the manufacturer necessarily, but to the modeler? Why should we care what your committee does? What is in other words, what's your committee done for me lately?
So a lot of things, it's unfortunate that you don't see the hard work that goes in behind the curtain. It's kind of like being in IT. So long as everything works and so long as everything is running, everybody just says thank you and keep moving forward. You don't hear anything, attaboys or people giving you positive kudos or something. But let something go wrong. Well, why doesn't this car made up with this car? Why are these couplers different? Why are they different heights? Why are the wheel sets, why are they 34 and a half as opposed to 33s or 36s and brand scale. Why does this decoder not fit into, why can't I put this decoder into this engine and just make it work? And the reason why you can do those things is because of standards and conformance. So we work with the manufacturers to ensure that the DCC products work the way they're supposed to, that the rolling stock is consistent from everything from the axles to the wheel sets, coupler heights, coupler boxes. Nate or Ethan can probably name more of it off than I can, faster than I can. That probably because he's younger, but and probably smarter. But anyway, it's because we do those things that we're keeping them honest, and they see those standards, and they manufacture their products to those standards so that equipment that you purchase will run on somebody else's layout without any issue. And that includes the track too, the width on the frogs, or the width of the track, and all sorts of things. So the NMRA continues to update the standards constantly. As innovations happen and as new things are coming out, we're called upon to re-engineer or engineer the product, take a look at it, make sure it's going to work with everything, make some comments back to the manufacturers, and then we develop a standard, and that's the standard that all the manufacturers produce their stuff to.
Right.
And when some manufacturers decide to do something a little bit shady, it's the NMRA that everybody calls.
Right. One of the things that I'd like to mention to you, maybe for your consideration, that you might want to take a look at, are the instructions that are in the kits that the manufacturers are producing. Because there's a lot of problems with a lot of the instructions that are in the kits. And the modelers buy the kits, and in effect, they end up not being able to build the kits. So the kits go into the closet. The manufacturer never gets a repeat customer. The hobbyist never tries to build any more kits. And therefore, the skills that have built the hobby up to this point don't get passed on to the next generation. So if you guys, in my opinion, you guys ought to maybe take a look at those instructions that are being produced by manufacturers in the kits, and come up with some kind of standards that our hobby manufacturers ought to consider if they're really going to produce kits and expect them to be successful.
Well, we can definitely do the first step and talk to the manufacturers to begin with at a manufacturers meeting.
Fantastic. I've got an article that just came out today in O-Scale Resource Magazine about this subject. And I'll be glad to send you a copy of it, or if you get a chance to take a look at it.
Please
I
do.
really encourage you maybe to have your committee take a look at the instruction situation.
Sure, send it to me.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being here with us.
No worries.
Excuse me, Bob. Hate to interrupt you.
That's
Actually,
okay,
real quick,
Jim.
if I may add on to that conversation, like just as an example, some of the things we do to address like problems like that. So for example, some end scalers contacted the NMRA saying, this train car definitely doesn't work. The wheel sets are wrong. And so we took a look at it. I purchased some cars, looked at them, measured them. They don't conform. And from there, we can go and contact the manufacturer and we're trying to be in contact with the manufacturer and see what they can do. Can they make new wheel sets? Could they fix the cars for future releases so that we don't have the problem occurring? So that's like an example of what happens when something goes wrong that you might not see behind the scenes, like Andy was mentioning.
Right.
Exactly.
That's great.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So I do want to mention that we were going to have Gordy Robinson, the president of the NMRA, but he's under the weather back home in the UK. But he does send his congratulations and best wishes to Ethan. So again, you're getting noticed. And I don't see Mark Jewetts here. He had said that he was having some power problems.
So I think it was me that was having the power problems. Mark got called away, so
Okay.
got a quick email and said,
All right.
unfortunately, I'm going to be, I got pulled away. So, and Mark desperately wanted to be here to be part of it, because he's very impressed when Nathan is a young man on young model railroaders. And
Yeah.
so,
That's wonderful. Well, Ethan, you certainly have quite a following. So again, congratulations to you. And is there anything anyone in the New Tracks audience tonight would like to add? Please do. Or any questions you might have. Well, hearing none, again, thank you, Ethan. And it's just, again, it's been such an honor, and to have you as our first recipient, and you've set the bar high for the future. Needless to say, you're invited to apply again next year. And speaking of next year, I want everyone to know that our goal for the 24-25 academic year, which will be awarded next August, is to grant at least $4,000 in scholarships. January 1st, we'll be announcing how that will be divvied up, whether it'll be 4 $1,000 scholarships, excuse me, or 2 $2,000 scholarships, or whatever the mix is. I will say that we have already, not even into September, we have basically funded our first scholarship already through the new nonprofit. So everyone is certainly welcome to get involved. We are actively looking for new committee members to come and help us with fundraising and with soliciting applications for the scholarship. You can certainly just go to the newtracks.com, newtracksmodeling.com, click on the scholarship tab, and there are tabs there for just general information, for getting an application, or for most importantly right now, making a donation. And your donations are all fully tax deductible. All the information is right there on the website that acknowledges our 501c3 and our recognition by the state of Florida. We do use a platform called Zephy, which is specifically for nonprofits. So we pay no credit card fees. We pay no money management fees. 100% of your donation will go to the scholarship. So please support us and support young modelers like Ethan, because one of the things that we realized, and you see a lot of gray beards on the show tonight, we've got to have the next generation. These are the people who are going to be making the innovations and the things we can't even dream about. I mean, who would have dreamed 20 years ago that you'd have a 3D printer in your basement, as I do, or DCC units fitting inside N-scale locomotives. It's just crazy what's happening. And it's the young people that are making that happen. So please support the scholarship, tell your friends. And again, Ethan, thanks so much for being here tonight. We appreciate it. And you are a great ambassador, not only for the scholarship, but for our entire hobby. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll turn it back to Jim. And Ethan, I appreciate so much you starting to become a part of our team, because in the future, Ethan will be back on the show talking about the needs of young modelers and where they're coming from for the hobby and what they see as the future and what they'd like to see more of about the hobby. So Ethan, thank you so much for wanting to do that for us.
Of course, look forward to it.
Well, listen, thanks so much for everybody that participated in tonight's program. We really thank you, Ethan, for submitting your application. It was really outstanding, and thank you for sharing your experiences and your educational goals with us. And that's what was really exciting for a lot of us. I know that all of our model railroad community wishes you great success in your future, both in your education, in your professional career, and in your future model railroading. We believe you have a very bright future ahead of you, and appreciate the opportunity to provide in some small way some of the financing needed to help you get there. To say I am proud or really thankful for all of the support and hard work put in by so many modelers who helped make this first-year scholarship program a great success is an understatement, a great understatement. However, I primarily want to thank all of the New Tracks modeling volunteers whose hard work and dedication made this scholarship possible. Special thanks naturally are given to Bob Davidson, the chairman of our committee, Jeff Jordan, our attorney, who did the pro bono work to get a 501c3 in our Florida corporation. Jeff is a counsel with Arden Fox Shift LLP in Washington, D.C. And the other committee members, Phil Edholm and Kevin McCumber, and Jim Allen, who is also our webmaster. Thank you so much to all of you. It goes without saying, we also owe a great debt of appreciation and thanks to the model railroaders in the community whose financial contributions made all of this possible, including Rick Barton, Chris Corse, Greg Cassidy, Pat Rivard, Bob Davidson, Bill Gearson, Father Ron Walters, Jeff Zigley, David Minard, Greg Wart, Scott Gear, Dan Dowdy, Kevin McCumber, David Schultz, Henry Primus, David Vaughn, and Larry Price. Guys, without your help, we never would have been able to get here. And again, thank you is an understatement, but it's the best that I can do tonight. I also want to thank all the volunteers who exhibited the promotional banners. And by the way, Bob Davidson, whose company Exhibits Plus, designed and produced those banners for us. Thank you so much, Bob, for that. But we had volunteers take them around to various train shows and events around the organizations. And we had many organizations give us free space, both for a table and for our literature and to be able to put up our banners. So thank you to the Amherst Train Show, Scott Gear's Great Scale Model Railroad Show in Timonium, the O-Scale Central's National Convention in Denver, the Association of Professional Model Makers Annual Convention, the National Retail Hobby Stores Association Annual Convention, the numerous local and regional events, as well as those organizations that publicly supported our efforts. That includes Atlas, the NMRA, and various local clubs and the NMRA regions and divisions that published our articles and helped support our efforts to get the scholarship known about. As I say, we're the only organization, volunteers, that's ever done this before. We didn't really have any guidelines or this is how you do these kind of things. So we learn by trying and getting the job done. And the committee deserves a tremendous amount of thank yous for all of their hard work and effort. We offer the STEAM scholarship program. Instead of the STEM program, because we believe art is a vital part of model railroading. And therefore we wanted to include the art education part in the scholarship capabilities for the young modelers. We encourage any local club or other organization or business to join with us and to help make this scholarship program even bigger and grander than it is this first year. We'd like to offer larger scholarships. We'd like to offer more scholarships. We have the organization, we have the procedures now in place to be able to do that. And as you can tell by the kind of quality that we have in the first winter, the needs of our local young model railroaders and their interest in trying to gain financial help for their education is obvious. So we need your support, we need your help, we need you to volunteer, we need you to open your checkbooks. Donating to us is as simple as we could possibly make it. And as Bob said, 100% of whatever you donate goes straight to the scholarship itself. The overhead cost for new tracks and so forth is a separate fund that is solicited separately from this. And it is, it's non, it has nothing to do with this. There's no salaries involved in this to anybody. Nobody makes a penny off of this. We pay bills such as the Zoom bill, such as the website bill, and we pay the organization to who the scholarship goes to. Other than that, that's the only expenses that we have for our program. We believe that the young model railroaders of today deserve all the educational help that we can possibly give them, so that the hobby continues to have the outstanding leadership to guide the hobby into the future. And gentlemen, it is going to need that. The more that I talk to modelers around the country, the more that I hear some of the tales of what different manufacturers are dealing with these days, the more I'm convinced that the future leadership is critical for our hobby to succeed. And I think that the help that we can provide to the young modelers in our hobby right now could be critical for how well the hobby succeeds in the future. So if you can support us, thank you so very much. If you can help us get the word out about our scholarship, thank you so much. If you have some spare time, you want to work with us trying to develop the scholarship and make it better, thank you so much. My email is jimkello@newtracksmodeling.com, and I'd love to hear from you.